When in a store, what major things would you consider? Is it layout or products or maybe customer service? Because one of the most important things that many people consider when walking in a store is customer service. And one of the key things that goes into customer service is communication. So in customer service, the purpose of it is basically to help customers find the product that they are looking for. And customer service will assist customers in helping finding that product. So customer service must communicate to the customer what products this brand offers, what features of the products, and what the store recommends that they buy. And so, as you can see, communication is a big part of customer service. It is an essential tool in the toolbox of a person with a good customer service mindset. When a customer service personnel communicates with a customer about a product that they're recommending, it is important that they must be clear, direct, and concise. They must gain customer support, build rapport with the customer, and ensure that they are loyal. And as well, they also must be not boring and not offensive. And only in this way will the customer be satisfied and buy a product that's increasing the sales. So communication is very important in customer service to keep customers loyal. However, customer service is also important in all aspects of marketing, not only customer service. For example, in marketing, one of the big functions of marketing is information gathering. So in information gathering, we gather information about people, what they liked, what they don't like, what they would like to see offered by the brand, and these types of information. And while gathering information, customer service personnel must communicate clearly. They must ask the question clearly. They must set out what they want from the customer, and they must ask it nicely in a way that is not too pushy. So I like to say this as getting the maximum information with the minimum impact. Another major function of marketing is selling. So in selling product, there are a couple of key points that require communication. First, of course, you must communicate the features of the product effectively, for like what the product offers, whether the product is cheap and whether that's good. And in this case, the customer service personnel must employ good communication skills to be concise and not pushy to the customer, and also make sure and persuade the customer using effective persuasion strategies so that they will buy the product. They must be tactful in doing so. There's also product management, which is also a marketing function that requires communication. In product management, it is defined as constantly improving the product to help the customer. And so customer service personnel must ask for feedback from the customers. And of course, in this case, it is also important to be tactful and ask it in a nice manner. Effective verbal communications are an important part of effective communication skills. So in effective verbal communications, it must be not too boring, and it must be concise, and it must and it must have these qualities. So it must not be monotone, not be too fast, not too slow, and it must be phrased in a way that the customer can easily understand. Because after all, the customer doesn't want to spend too much time trying to understand what you're trying to say. They want to get it over with, buy the product. So in effective verbal communications, it must be not boring, and also effective hand gestures must be included to help the customer understand. Body posture and facial expressions may also be used. And emotional intelligence and tact is very important in effective verbal communications, because the customer's body posture and knowing what the emotions the customer has will help in determining what to say next. If the customer is looking very disinterested and slouching, for example, then maybe you shouldn't say too much. Or if the customer looks happy and very interested, then maybe this product is right for them, and you should continue saying more about this product. Now, effective verbal communications need to be presented in person, but also in handling telephone calls in a business-like manner. So in handling telephone calls, a lot of the same things applies. It must be not too monotone. It must have um, fast parts and slow parts to emphasize key points. But also in a telephone call, there must be appropriate greetings and appropriate closing messages. For example, to get a good first impression with the customer, a good thing to say while handling telephone calls would be your name, what division you are, for example, a customer service personnel at our company, and you could say things like, I'm happy to help you today, or something like that, to handle telephone calls in a business-like manner. And also, when closing up a telephone call, there should also be the appropriate closing messages. For example, I hope you had a great day. I hope you enjoyed our customer service at our company, or these type of things, to gain loyalty and rapport with the customer. Lastly, while communicating in any form, not just verbal communications or telephone communications, but also in things like written communications, it is important to adapt communication style to the target audience. For example, sometimes there may be humor needed in the communication to make it more engaging and more appealing, or sometimes when it is a formal topic, more seriousness may be required. Sometimes the focus should be on information about the product, and sometimes the focus should not be on information of the product in order to not overwhelm the customer with information. This all depends on the situation that the customer is in. Sometimes there should be more persuasive and emotional words, like if you buy this then XXX will happen, and generally be more pushy with the product. Sometimes they should be more objective and less pushy with the product, depending on what the customer is feeling and the target audience generally. There are many things that must be adapted in communication so that an effective communication channel can be used and the customer can be the most satisfied. So in summary, I have talked about why communication is important in customer service, how it is important in not just customer service, but all aspects of marketing, how effective verbal communication is important, and how to handle telephone calls, and lastly, how to adapt communication styles. Okay, so now the judge is going to ask me, why is it that cable companies and airlines seem to consistently rate very poorly in the area of customer service? I think that the reason cable companies rate very poorly is due to a lack of effective communication skills and a lack of the ability to persuade the customer to buy things, and a lack of the ability to retain customers using engaging communication formats. So this can be attributed to two key things. First, verbal communications may not be the most engaging and the most clear. Maybe the customer service personnel might need to pay more attention to being not monotone, having more body language and facial expressions, and generally being more engaging to the customer, as well as pronouncing words clearly and making sure that their communications are clear and to the point instead of having much persuasive language and being not concise. The second key point is maybe that the customer service personnel are failing to adapt their communication style to the target audience. For example, they may be using too much humor when it is clear that the customer does not want humor and just wants to get a product and get out of the store. Or maybe they're being too serious and this makes the customer feel uncomfortable and awkward. Maybe when the customer is trying to look around for some products that they might want to buy, the customer service personnel are being too pushy with one particular product. So if the customer service personnel adapt their communication style and have effective verbal communication and have effective communication strategies, then I feel that the sales will go up and customer satisfaction will be increased. And now the judge is going to ask me, when hiring a customer service representative, how necessary is it for a candidate to have previous customer service experience? Please explain. So, I think it is important for a customer service representative to have good customer service experience, but even if they don't, any experience in communication may be good. For example, customer service, it's basically customer service experience is basically training you and your communication skills so that you can build rapport with the customer. And this is very important because building rapport with customers is good. But even if they don't have customer service experience, which is preferred, um, if even if they have experience in communication in other aspects, then they can also be hired. So, all in all, communication is pretty important, and customer service experience generally builds on that. So, it might be preferable to hire a person with customer service experience. Okay, I'm done.